Wisdom, once a respected bank manager, now pushed a humble wheelbarrow through the dusty streets. This was a far cry from the life of wealth and importance he had once known, all destroyed by baseless accusations of theft from his company. One fateful Monday, he arrived at work only to find a termination letter waiting for him on his desk. His accounts were frozen, his house and cars seized by the bank. The sudden fall from grace left Wisdom hurt, depressed, and heartbroken. Forced to survive, he had no choice but to take up the humiliating job of wheelbarrow pushing, a far cry from his previous position of authority. At home, the weight of his misfortune was doubled by Belinda, his wife, who never stopped complaining. She cursed him daily for his inability to provide the lavish lifestyle she craved. But Belinda's betrayal cut deeper than her words. When Wisdom sought help from his younger brother, Victor, hoping for a bit of relief, he walked into a scene that shattered his soul. There, in Victor's bedroom, lay Belinda in an intimate embrace with Victor himself. The pain of the sight was unbearable. Instead of showing remorse, Victor ordered Wisdom out of his house. "Get out, lazy man," Victor sneered, shamelessly continuing his illicit affair with Belinda. Wisdom staggered away, heartbroken and betrayed. Days passed, then weeks, and Belinda never returned. She had abandoned their 2 sons to chase a life of luxury with Victor. Wisdom worked tirelessly, pushing his barrow to make ends meet, but his earnings were meager, and the strain began to show. When his 2 sons were sent home from school for unpaid fees and his landlord issued an eviction notice, Wisdom knew he was at his breaking point. Desperate, he swallowed his pride and returned to Victor's house, hoping for a shred of mercy, but Victor's response was cruel. "Do I look like your bank thief?" Victor spat. Belinda emerged from the room, rolling her eyes at the sight of Wisdom. "Why are you still here?" she hissed. Without hesitation, Victor transferred another large sum of money into Belinda's account. Wisdom watched in despair, tears streaming down his face as he begged for help. Victor shoved him away without a second thought, and Wisdom returned to his humble dwelling, his heart weighed down by sorrow and betrayal. Little did Wisdom know that his downfall was no accident. Victor's sudden wealth had raised eyebrows, but few knew the truth. As a final-year university student, Victor had joined a cult that promised wealth, power, and authority. The price? A sacrifice. Someone close to him had to lose everything. For Victor, the choice was easy. Sacrificing Wisdom's destiny for his own gain was a price he was willing to pay. The days rolled by, each one harder than the last for Wisdom. His 2 sons, Emmanuel and David, often went to bed hungry. Their once bubbly laughter had faded into silence, replaced by the sound of their growling stomachs. Wisdom's heart ached as he watched them struggle, powerless to give them the life they deserved. One evening, as he pushed his wheelbarrow through the market, he overheard 2 traders gossiping about Victor's newfound wealth. "Did you hear how Victor built a mansion in just 6 months?" one said. "And he's driving the latest cars too," the other replied. "I heard he made his fortune through dark means." The word sent a chill down Wisdom's spine. He had always wondered how Victor, a struggling student, had suddenly become so rich. Could there be truth to the rumors? Later that night, as Wisdom lay on the thin mat in his small room, he replayed the events of the past months in his mind. The betrayal, the wealth, the arrogance, it all pointed to something sinister. The next morning, he decided to confront Victor one last time, not for money, but for answers. When he arrived at Victor's mansion, he was met by 2 heavily armed security guards. "Who are you here to see?" one of them asked. "Victor," Wisdom replied. "I'm his brother." The guards exchanged glances before one of them barked, "Wait here." A few minutes later, Victor appeared, dressed in a designer suit and gold jewelry, his face twisted into a mocking smile as he approached Wisdom. "What do you want now?" Victor asked angrily. "I need the truth," Wisdom said, his voice trembling. "What did you do to become so wealthy? Why did my life fall apart the moment yours improved?" Victor's smile faded, replaced by a cold, calculating look. "You wouldn't understand, Wisdom," he said. "Life is about survival. Some of us are willing to do whatever it takes to rise above the rest." "What are you talking about?" Wisdom demanded. Victor leaned in close, his voice a low whisper. "Your life, your destiny. It was the price I paid for my success. You should be honored, really. Thanks to you, I have everything I've ever wanted." Wisdom staggered back, his mind reeling from Victor's confession. "You sacrificed me," he whispered. "Your own brother." Victor smiled. "You always had everything handed to you. Good job, beautiful family, respect. It was my turn to shine." Fury boiled within Wisdom. "You destroyed my life. My children are suffering because of you." Victor laughed. "That's not my problem. Now, if you're done wasting my time, get out of here." As Wisdom turned to leave, Belinda appeared, dressed in expensive clothes and dripping with jewelry. She looked at Wisdom with disdain, as if he were a stranger. "Still begging, I see," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Wisdom said nothing. He walked away, his heart heavy with anger and despair. But as he made his way back to his small room, a new resolve began to form in his mind. He couldn't let Victor's betrayal be the end of his story. He had to fight back, not just for himself, but for his sons. Victor sat in his grand, lavish mansion, staring out the window as thoughts of Wisdom's confrontation earlier in the day replayed in his mind. For the first time in months, a flicker of doubt crossed his heart. What if he digs deeper? What if he exposes everything? Victor muttered to himself. Unlike Belinda, who only cared about living in luxury, Victor bore the full weight of his dark secret alone. His sudden rise to wealth wasn't a stroke of luck, as most people believed. It was a calculated and evil act. As the night deepened, Victor knew he couldn't take chances. He drove out to the edge of town, where the path turned to thick forest. The Grandmaster's shrine stood hidden within the trees, shrouded in an eerie silence that sent chills down Victor's spine. When he arrived, the Grandmaster, a tall figure cloaked in black robes, emerged from the shadows. "You look troubled, Victor," the Grandmaster said, his deep voice echoing through the night. "It's my brother, Wisdom," Victor replied, bowing slightly. "He confronted me today. He's asking too many questions. I fear he'll find out the truth." The Grandmaster's eyes glinted with malice. "Wisdom is tied to you by blood. His persistence could undo everything we've worked for. To silence him completely, a greater sacrifice must be made." Victor frowned, his chest tightening. "What kind of sacrifice?" "The lives of his children," the Grandmaster said coldly. "Their innocent souls will solidify your wealth and ensure your power remains unshaken." Victor hesitated, the weight of the suggestion sinking in. But his greed and fear overpowered any lingering shred of guilt. "Do it," he said, his voice firm despite the turmoil inside him. The Grandmaster began his ritual, chanting strange words as he mixed herbs, ash, and blood in a clay pot. Finally, he handed the pot to Victor. "Take this," he instructed. "Find their footprints and pour this into them. By dawn, they will sleep and never wake." Victor took the pot with trembling hands. As he left the shrine, his mind battled with itself. A part of him questioned if he had gone too far, but his greed silenced that voice. That night, Wisdom sat in the dimly lit room he shared with his two sons, Emmanuel and David. He watched them sleep, their small chests rising and falling peacefully. "Daddy, will we ever be happy again?" Emmanuel had asked earlier, his voice filled with innocent hope. Wisdom had forced a smile and replied, "Yes, my son. One day things will get better." But deep down, Wisdom felt helpless. The weight of their struggles was crushing him. He knelt by their bedside and prayed, tears streaming down his face. "God, please don't let my children suffer. They are all I have left. Show us mercy." Unknown to him, Victor stood outside, clutching the clay pot. He poured its contents into the boy's footprints in the yard, muttering the Grandmaster's incantation under his breath. The air grew cold around him as he completed the ritual and hurried away. The next morning, the house was eerily silent. Wisdom stirred awake and called out, "Emmanuel! David! Time to get up." When there was no response, he went to their bed and shook them gently. "Wake up, my boys. It's morning." But the boys didn't stir. A deep sense of dread gripped Wisdom as he touched their cold faces. "No, no!" he cried, shaking them harder. Realizing something was terribly wrong, he screamed for help, rushing to his neighbors. "Please, somebody help me. My children won't wake up." Neighbors gathered quickly, but it was too late. A local doctor arrived and delivered the devastating news. Both boys were gone. Wisdom fell to his knees, his wails piercing the morning air. He cradled their lifeless bodies, tears streaming down his face. Why? Why them, God? They were innocent. They didn't deserve this. He sat beside them for hours, clutching their tiny hands, his heart shattered into a million pieces. Memories of their laughter and dreams flooded his mind, each one a fresh stab of pain. As the sun set, he buried them with trembling hands, tears soaking the earth. "You were my world," he whispered, placing the last handful of dirt over their graves. "Forgive me for failing you." That night, as he sat alone in the dark, anger replaced his sorrow. He thought about Victor, the arrogance in his voice, the sudden wealth, the secrets. Deep down, Wisdom knew his brother was behind this. "You've taken everything from me, Victor," he whispered, his voice shaking with rage. "My life, my dignity, and now my children. But I swear, you will not go unpunished." Wisdom's mind burned with fury and pain as he walked toward Victor's mansion. His children were gone, and his heart was shattered. Grief had consumed him, but beneath it was a rising tide of anger. He needed answers, and he needed them now. When he reached Victor's home, the grand gate stood tall and imposing, a cruel reminder of the wealth and power Victor had gained at his expense. Wisdom banged on the gate with trembling fists. "Victor, open this gate. You have taken everything from me." A security guard peeked out but made no move to open it. "What do you want here?" the guard asked sternly. "I need to see Victor," Wisdom shouted, his voice cracking. "Tell him Wisdom is here." The guard hesitated but eventually let him in. Victor's absence made the mansion feel hollow, yet Wisdom's footsteps were heavy with purpose as he marched up to the grand door and knocked furiously. Moments later, Belinda appeared, her face expressionless, dressed in a silk robe that glimmered in the evening light. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her tone cold. Wisdom's eyes filled with tears. "My boys are gone, Belinda," he said, his voice breaking. "Our boys. They died in their sleep. I know Victor has something to do with it. He took everything from me." Belinda rolled her eyes and crossed her arms. "Stop calling them our boys," she said dismissively. "They're your responsibility, not mine. I left you long ago. Don't come here blaming Victor or me for your failures." Her words struck Wisdom like a slap to the face. He couldn't believe how heartless she had become. "What kind of mother are you?" he demanded. "You abandoned your children to chase luxury and wealth. You are Nothi. Already shown they have no mercy. But if you insist on going down this path, you must be prepared for the consequences." Wisdom's eyes filled with tears again. "What more can they take from me? I have already lost everything." Mrs. Agnes placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "Maybe it's time to fight differently," she said. "Not with your fists, but with wisdom and patience. Seek help from God." When Victor returned home that night, Mrs. Agnes confronted him. "Your brother came here beaten to the ground by your bodyguards," she snapped. "You and that girlfriend of yours have no shame, Victor." Victor laughed coldly. "Stay out of this, Agnes. You have no idea what's going on." "I don't need to know the details," Mrs. Agnes retorted. "What I do know is that Wisdom is your brother, and one day, you'll regret the way you've treated him." Victor waved her off and went inside, but her words lingered in his mind. He knew Wisdom wouldn't give up easily, and the thought unsettled him. Wisdom kept pushing his wheelbarrow every day, from morning till evening. He walked through the busy market, calling out to people, "Let me help you carry your goods. Wheelbarrow for hire." Some people gave him work, but many treated him badly. They talked to him like he was nothing. Some refused to pay him, others would give him small food instead of money. One woman asked him to carry her bags of rice to her car. Wisdom worked hard and finished quickly, but when he asked for his money, the woman frowned at him. "Take this bread and go," she said, throwing the bread at him. "Please, madam," Wisdom begged. "I need money. My children are gone. I am suffering." "Are you stupid?" the woman shouted. "If you don't want the bread, leave it. Should I call the police for you?" Wisdom's heart broke. He picked up the bread and walked away quietly. "Thank you," he whispered, even though tears filled his eyes. Another day, a man asked Wisdom to carry yams to his shop. When they reached the shop, the man gave Wisdom a plate of rice. "Sir, I need money," Wisdom said softly. "Please, even a little. I need to pay my rent." The man looked at him. "If you don't leave my shop now, I will call the police." Wisdom held the plate of rice and walked away. "Thank you, sir," he said, but inside he felt bitter. Every night, Wisdom went home tired and hungry. His house was small and empty. The silence hurt him more than anything else. He sat on the floor, looking at the corner where his sons used to play. He held their old clothes close to his chest, crying softly. "Emmanuel, David," he whispered, tears falling down his cheeks. "I'm sorry I failed you. I couldn't protect you. Please forgive me." Some nights, he had no food to eat. His stomach made loud noises, but the pain in his heart was worse. "God, why me?" he cried one night. "What did I do to deserve this? Why have you left me to suffer like this?" One day, it rained heavily. Wisdom sat by the roadside, soaked and cold. His wheelbarrow stood beside him, looking old and rusty. People passed by, but nobody stopped to help him. A group of young boys saw him and started laughing. "Look at the wheelbarrow man," one of them said. "He is dirty and poor, like a beggar." They threw stones at him and ran away, laughing. Wisdom sat there, shaking from the cold. He didn't have the strength to fight back. When the rain stopped, he pushed his wheelbarrow home. His clothes were wet, and his body was weak. That night, he sat on his bench, staring at the empty room. "I can't live like this anymore," he said to himself. His voice was low, but his heart was full of anger. "Victor has taken everything from me. My sons are gone. My life is ruined. I know my God will fight for me." Wisdom stepped outside his house, ready to start another difficult day. His wheelbarrow was parked by the door, its rusty handles showing signs of his endless struggles. He had barely taken a few steps when he saw someone walking toward him. It was Belinda. She stood tall and bold, her face showing no shame for the pain she had caused him. "Wisdom," she said coldly, "I came to warn you. Stay away from me and my man. Stop interfering in my relationship." Wisdom looked at her, anger and disgust burning in his eyes. "Belinda," he said, his voice shaking, "you should be ashamed of yourself. How can you stand here and talk about a relationship with my own brother? My blood. You destroyed my home and left my children to suffer, and you have the guts to come here and warn me?" Belinda laughed, a mocking sound that cut through the air like a blade. "Ashamed," she repeated. "I don't feel any shame, Wisdom. Let me tell you something. I only go where there is money. Your brother has money, and that's why I'm with him. If he goes broke tomorrow, I will leave him too and find another rich man. I do not like poverty." Wisdom's hands clenched into fists. His body shook with anger. "Belinda, is this the woman I once called my wife? The mother of my children? You left your sons to chase wealth. You abandoned them like they were nothing. What kind of heartless woman are you?" Belinda rolled her eyes. "Don't lecture me, Wisdom," she said. "You are a failure, a man who pushes a wheelbarrow for food. You can't even take care of yourself, let alone me. Do you think love can fill my stomach? You and your so-called pride can't give me the life I deserve." Wisdom's voice rose with anger. "The life you deserve? You think chasing money and destroying families will bring you happiness? Belinda, you may have money now, but your soul is empty. You've sold yourself for riches that will not last." Belinda stepped closer, her voice dripping with arrogance. "I don't care what you think. If you don't like my choices, that's your problem. Just stay away from me and Victor. He is my man now, not you. Move on with your pathetic life." Wisdom couldn't hold back anymore. "You are shameless, Belinda," he shouted. "You are nothing but a greedy, selfish woman who will destroy anyone to get what she wants. One day, you will regret everything you have done." Belinda smiled, brushing off his words like they meant nothing. "You can shout all you want," she said, "but at the end of the day, I'll be enjoying Victor's wealth while you push your wheelbarrow. Goodbye, Wisdom. Go cry somewhere else." With that, she turned and walked away, her head held high. Wisdom stood there, his heart pounding with anger and pain. Her words echoed in his mind, cutting him deeper than any knife could. He watched her leave, the woman who once shared his life, now a stranger who had destroyed it. He leaned against his wheelbarrow, his eyes filling with tears. "God," he whispered, "why did my life turn out this way? What did I do to deserve this?" But even in his sadness, a part of him refused to give up. He wiped his face with the back of his hand and gripped the handles of his wheelbarrow. "I may be down," he said to himself, "but I am not finished. One day, I will rise again. One day, Belinda and Victor will know the pain they caused me." He pushed his wheelbarrow into the market, his heart heavy but his spirit unbroken. Victor was lying on his bed, fast asleep, when a strange chill filled the room. The air grew thick, and the shadows on the walls seemed to move. Suddenly, the Wise One appeared. He was an old man with a long flowing beard, his eyes glowing with an eerie light. Victor stirred, feeling a cold presence in the room. He opened his eyes and immediately sat up, startled. "Great One," he said, bowing his head in respect. The Wise One's voice was deep and commanding. "Victor," he said, "your time is near. The power I gave you needs to be renewed. Without it, your wealth will vanish, and your life will crumble." Victor's heart began to race. "What must I do, Great One?" he asked. "I am ready to obey." The Wise One looked at him, his glowing eyes piercing through Victor's soul. "A sacrifice is required," he said. "Something valuable to you. Without it, you will lose everything." Victor swallowed hard, his mind racing. "What kind of sacrifice, Great One? Tell me, and I will do it." The Wise One took a step closer, his shadow looming over Victor. "The womb of the woman you call yours," he said coldly. "Belinda's womb must be sacrificed." Victor was silent for a moment, then he laughed bitterly. "Belinda," he said. "She is of no use to me, Great One. I know she is only with me because of my money. She does not love me. If that is the price, take her womb. Use her however you wish." The Wise One nodded, his eyes gleaming with approval. "Very well," he said. "You have chosen your path. The sacrifice will be done." That night, Belinda was fast asleep in Victor's house, unaware of the darkness surrounding her. The Wise One appeared beside her bed, chanting strange words under his breath. The room filled with a cold wind, and Belinda stirred in her sleep but could not wake up. The Wise One raised his staff, and a bright light surrounded Belinda. Her body twitched as the spell took hold. Slowly, the life force of her womb was drawn away, leaving her empty and barren. When the ritual was over, the Wise One turned to Victor. "It is done," he said. "Your wealth and power are safe. But remember, there is always a price. Betrayal and greed have a way of returning to their owners." Victor nodded, unbothered by the warning. "Thank you, Great One," he said. "I will continue to honor you." The Wise One disappeared, leaving Victor alone with his thoughts. The next morning, Belinda woke up feeling weak and sick. She held her stomach, a sharp pain shooting through her. "Victor," she called, her voice shaky. "Something is wrong. I need to see a doctor." Victor glanced at her, uninterested. "You will be fine," he said. "Stop acting like a child." Belinda struggled to stand, her legs trembling. "Victor, I'm serious. I've never felt like this before." Victor sighed, annoyed. "Go see a doctor if you want, but don't disturb my peace." Belinda left the house, confused and scared. At the hospital, the doctor ran some tests and returned with a serious look on his face. "I'm sorry, madam," he said, "but you can no longer have children. Your womb is completely damaged." Belinda's heart sank. "What?" she whispered, her eyes wide with shock. "How is that possible?" The doctor shook his head. "I don't know. It's as if something drained all the life from your womb. There's nothing we can do." Belinda stumbled out of the hospital, tears streaming down her face. She couldn't understand what had happened. All she knew was that her life had changed forever. Back at the house, Victor sat comfortably, counting his money. The sacrifice had been made, and his wealth was safe. But deep in his heart, he felt no guilt, no regret. To him, Belinda was just another tool for his success. Belinda came back home from the hospital with swollen eyes. Her tears flowed freely as she walked into the living room, clutching her bag. Victor was seated on the couch, scrolling through his phone, unbothered. "Victor," Belinda called, her voice breaking. Victor looked up lazily, pretending to be concerned. "What is it now, Belinda? Why are you crying?" Belinda dropped her bag and fell to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. "Victor," the doctor said. "The doctor said I can't have children anymore." Victor raised an eyebrow but kept a calm face. "What do you mean you can't have children? What kind of nonsense is that?" Belinda wiped her tears, shaking her head in disbelief. "He said my womb is damaged, Victor. Completely damaged. I don't know how it happened. I don't know what I did wrong." Victor stood up and walked over to her, pulling her gently to her feet. "Baby, stop crying," he said, stroking her shoulders. "Doctors are not God. What do they know? Who cares if you don't have a womb anymore? I will still love you, okay?" Belinda sniffed, looking up at him with teary eyes. "Victor, are you sure? Do you really mean it?" Victor smiled, his words dripping with fake affection. "Of course I mean it. You're still my queen, with or without a womb. Don't let this doctor's report upset you. I'm here for you." Belinda felt a wave of relief wash over her. She hugged Victor tightly, her tears turning to gratitude. "Thank you so much, baby. You see why I love you. You're the best man in the world. I'm so lucky to have you." Victor patted her back, hiding his wicked grin. "Anything for you, my love," he said. The next day, Victor decided to take things a step further. To keep Belinda from suspecting anything, he went out and bought her a brand new, expensive car. When he returned, he parked it right outside their house and called her. "Belinda, come outside," he shouted. Belinda rushed out, wondering what the commotion was about. When she saw the shiny new car, her mouth fell open. "Baby, whose car is this?" Victor handed her the keys, smiling. "It's yours, baby. This is to wipe your tears. I don't want to see you sad anymore." Belinda screamed with excitement, jumping up and down like a child. "Oh my God, Victor! Are you serious? This is for me." Victor nodded, pretending to enjoy her happiness. "Yes, my queen. You deserve it. Now stop crying and enjoy your life." Belinda hugged him tightly, showering him with praises. "Thank you, Victor. You're the best. I don't care what anyone says. You're the love of my life." She immediately climbed into the car, running her hands over the steering wheel. The smell of new leather filled her nostrils, and she couldn't stop smiling. To her, Victor was a dream come true. Unknown to her, the car was a distraction, a cover for the evil Victor had done. Her womb, the source of her pain, was the very thing Victor had sacrificed to keep his wealth and power. As Belinda drove off in her new car, Victor sat on the porch. He watched her leave, a sly smile spreading across his face. "Foolish woman," he muttered to himself. "You think I care about you? Your womb is already gone, and you don't even know it. Keep enjoying my money while you can." Wisdom knelt on the cold, cracked floor of his humble room. Tears streamed down his face as he poured out his heart to God in prayer. His voice trembled with desperation. "Father, please," he cried. "Whoever has taken my destiny, whoever has caused my suffering, destroy them, Lord. Make them confess their evil and perish for their wickedness. Lord, I am tired of this pain. Please hear my cries. Forgive me all my sins. Have mercy on me, O Lord. Restore my life. Father, I need you." Wisdom stayed on his knees for hours, sobbing and pleading with God. The room was silent except for his broken voice. When he finally rose, his face was wet with tears, but his heart felt lighter. He whispered, "I trust you, Lord. I believe you will fight for me." The next day, Wisdom didn't go out to work. His wheelbarrow had broken down the previous evening, and he had no money to repair it. He sat on his wooden stool, staring at the broken barrow outside his room. Hunger gnawed at his stomach, but he had no food, no money, and no strength to beg. After some time, he decided to take a walk to clear his mind. As he strolled down the dusty road, his thoughts were heavy with worry. "How long will this suffering last?" he muttered to himself. "How much more can I take?" Suddenly, Wisdom heard a commotion ahead. A group of rough-looking boys surrounded an old man who was clutching a leather bag tightly. The old man looked helpless, his voice trembling as he pleaded with them. "Please leave me alone. Don't take my bag," he begged. The boys laughed mockingly, tugging at the bag. "Old man, give us the bag, or we'll deal with you," one of them threatened. Without thinking, Wisdom ran toward them. "Hey, leave him alone," he shouted. The boys turned to him, surprised. "Who are you to tell us what to do?" one of them sneered. But Wisdom wasn't afraid. He grabbed a stick lying nearby and swung it at them. "I said, leave him alone," he roared. The boys hesitated, then decided it wasn't worth the fight. One by one, they backed away, cursing under their breath. "You're lucky today, old man," one of them spat before they all ran off. The old man stood there, trembling but unharmed. His bag was still in his hands. He looked at Wisdom with wide, grateful eyes. "Thank you, my son," he said, his voice shaky. "You saved me. May God bless you." Wisdom smiled humbly. "It's nothing, sir. I couldn't just stand by and watch them hurt you." The old man straightened his jacket and looked at Wisdom closely. "What is your name, young man?" "Wisdom, sir," he replied. The old man nodded, a thoughtful look in his eyes. "Wisdom, you are a brave and kind soul. My name is Chief Wellington. I am the CEO of Wellington's Estate and Wellington's Bank Limited." Wisdom's eyes widened in shock. He had heard about Chief Wellington before, a wealthy and influential man known throughout the city, but he had never imagined he would meet him in person. "It's an honor to meet you, sir," Wisdom said, bowing slightly. "No, my son," Chief Wellington said, placing a hand on Wisdom's shoulder. "The honor is mine. What you did for me today, I will never forget. You risked your life to save me. Not many people would do that." Wisdom smiled faintly. "It's what anyone should do, sir." Chief Wellington reached into his pocket and pulled out a card. He handed it to Wisdom. "This is my complimentary card. I would like you to come to my house this weekend. I want to know more about you and how I can help you." Wisdom stared at the card, speechless. He couldn't believe what was happening. "Thank you, sir," he finally managed to say. Chief Wellington smiled warmly. "No, thank you, Wisdom. You are a good man. I look forward to seeing you on Saturday." With that, the old man got into his car, leaving Wisdom standing on the roadside, holding the card like a treasure. For the first time in a long while, a flicker of hope lit up in his heart. He looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you, Lord. I see your hand in my life. Please let this be the beginning of my breakthrough." That evening, Wisdom sat in his small room, staring at the card. He couldn't stop smiling. Though he still had no money for food or to fix his wheelbarrow, he felt a spark of hope. "This might be my chance," he thought. "Maybe God has finally heard my cries." 2 days later, the much-anticipated weekend finally arrived. Wisdom woke up early that Saturday morning, his heart pounding with excitement and nervousness. He couldn't remember the last time he felt this much hope. He carefully picked out his best clothes, a faded but clean shirt and a pair of trousers he had mended himself. Though they were old, he made sure they were neat and presentable. He polished his worn-out shoes until they shone, looked at himself in the cracked mirror, and whispered, "God, please let today be the beginning of a new life." By mid-morning, Wisdom found himself standing in front of Chief Wellington's mansion. His mouth fell open as he took in the sight of the massive house with tall gates, lush gardens, and sparkling cars parked in the driveway. He had never been this close to such wealth before. The gateman greeted him politely and allowed him inside after confirming his appointment. As Wisdom walked up to the main entrance, his legs felt shaky. "I hope I don't embarrass myself here," he muttered under his breath. A servant opened the door and led him into the house. The interior was even more breathtaking. Marble floors, grand chandeliers, and expensive furniture. Wisdom felt out of place but reminded himself to stay calm. Chief Wellington came out to greet him with a warm smile. "Wisdom, my brave friend. Welcome to my home." Wisdom bowed slightly, feeling overwhelmed. "Thank you, sir. It's an honor to be here." "Come, come," Chief Wellington said, leading him to the dining table. The table was filled with all kinds of delicious food: fried rice, chicken, soup, yam, and fruits. "Have a seat," the chief said, motioning to a chair. Wisdom hesitated for a moment before sitting down. He couldn't remember the last time he had seen this much food, let alone eaten it. His stomach growled loudly, and he felt embarrassed. Chief Wellington laughed kindly. "Eat, my son. Don't be shy." Wisdom nodded and began to eat slowly, savoring every bite. As they ate, Chief Wellington asked, "So, Wisdom, tell me about yourself. What brought you to this point in your life?" Wisdom paused, his fork halfway to his mouth. He swallowed hard and looked at the older man. "Sir, it's a long story," he said quietly. "I have time," Chief Wellington replied, leaning back in his chair. "Tell me everything." Taking a deep breath, Wisdom began to recount his life story. He spoke of his days as a hard-working young man, his job at the bank, and how he was wrongly accused of theft. He described how he lost everything: his job, his home, and his dignity. His voice broke as he talked about his wife's betrayal with his younger brother and how she abandoned him and their children. When he spoke about the death of his 2 sons, Wisdom couldn't hold back his tears. His voice trembled as he said, "They were my joy, sir. My only reason for living. And now they're gone. I have nothing left." Chief Wellington listened intently, his face filled with compassion. When Wisdom finished, there was a moment of silence. The chief leaned forward, his eyes soft. "Wisdom, your story touches my heart deeply. I know what it feels like to lose everything. You see, I wasn't always wealthy. I used to be a poor man too, so poor that I couldn't even afford a proper meal." Wisdom looked up in surprise. "You, sir? You were poor?" "Yes," Chief Wellington said with a nod. "I was once like you, but someone helped me, and that changed my life. I promised myself that if I ever became successful, I would help as many people as I could. And today, God has brought you to me." Tears filled Wisdom's eyes. "Sir, I don't know what to say. Thank you for even listening to me." Chief Wellington smiled. "You deserve more than just words, my son. I want to offer you a job. From today, you will be the manager of one of my banks. I see potential in you, Wisdom, and I believe you will do well." Wisdom froze, unable to believe his ears. "Manager? Me, sir? Are you serious?" "Very serious," Chief Wellington said. "You saved my life, Wisdom. This is my way of saying thank you." Wisdom fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. You have no idea what this means to me. God bless you." Chief Wellington helped him up and patted his shoulder. "No need to thank me, my son. Just promise me one thing. When you're in a position to help others, do not hesitate to do so." "I promise, sir," Wisdom said, his voice filled with emotion. That night, as Wisdom walked back to his humble room, he looked up at the stars and whispered, "Thank you, Lord. You heard my cries. Thank you for sending Chief Wellington into my life." For the first time in years, Wisdom felt hope rise in his heart. It wasn't just a new job he had gained, it was a chance to rebuild his life. Meanwhile, in Victor's house, a chilling presence swept through the room as the Wise One appeared once again. The air turned cold, and a dark aura surrounded the room. Victor, who had grown accustomed to these visits, stood up from his chair with a sinister smile on his face. "Great One," he greeted, bowing slightly. "What do you need from me this time?" The Wise One's voice was deep and commanding. "Your wealth and power demand another sacrifice, Victor. This time, it must be a human sacrifice." Victor's eyes gleamed with a wicked light. Without hesitation, he said, "I understand, Great One. Tell me who you want." The Wise One's shadowy figure loomed closer. "Belinda. Her life will seal the next level of your wealth. Are you ready to give her up?" Victor didn't flinch. His voice was steady, cold. "She is of no use to me. I know she is only here because of my money. Take her. She means nothing." The Wise One nodded approvingly. "It shall be done." That night, while Belinda slept soundly, unaware of the dark plans unfolding, Victor carried out the ritual. He chanted the words the Wise One had given him, his hands trembling not with fear but with excitement. The room filled with an eerie light, and the sacrifice was completed. The next morning, Victor woke up to find his room overflowing with money. Bundles of cash were scattered everywhere. On the bed, the floor, the tables. He couldn't believe his eyes. He laughed loudly, throwing the money into the air. "This is the life I want," he exclaimed, his voice echoing through the house. "I hate poverty. I will do anything to remain wealthy." His laughter grew louder and more maniacal as he basked in his newfound riches. For Victor, there was no limit to what he would sacrifice for wealth. Wisdom adjusted the collar of his new suit as he stood in front of the mirror in his spacious office. The reflection staring back at him was almost unrecognizable. He was no longer the man who pushed a wheelbarrow, humiliated and scorned by many. Now, he was a bank manager, a respected figure with a new life. His office was elegant, with polished wooden furniture, glass windows that overlooked the bustling city, and a desk adorned with a nameplate that read, "Wisdom Ali, Manager." A brand-new, sleek car was parked in his reserved spot downstairs. His new home was a furnished duplex in a serene estate, with everything he could ever need. Wisdom slowly sank to his knees in the middle of the office, overwhelmed with gratitude. He clasped his hands together, his eyes glistening with tears. "Father, I thank you," he whispered, his voice shaking. "You heard my cries. You lifted me out of the pit of despair and placed me in a position I never thought possible. The enemies thought they had destroyed me, but you have shown them that you are the ultimate judge." Tears rolled down his cheeks as he continued, "Lord, I vow to serve you all the days of my life. You have given me a second chance. Thank you for sending Chief Wellington into my life. Thank you for this job, this car, this house, and for restoring my dignity. Father, I pray for wisdom to do my work well. I pray for strength to keep walking in your ways." As Wisdom prayed, his phone buzzed softly on the desk. It was a message from Chief Wellington. "Congratulations on your first day as manager. I believe in you. Make me proud, Chief Wellington." Wisdom smiled through his tears. "Thank you, Lord, for people like Chief Wellington. Bless him abundantly." When he finally stood up, he walked to the window and looked outside. The streets were busy with people going about their day, some laughing, others carrying burdens only they knew about. Wisdom's heart ached as he thought about the countless people struggling like he once did. "I will help as many people as I can," he said to himself. "I know what it feels like to be at the bottom, to have no one to turn to. If God could use Chief Wellington to bless me, then I must also be a blessing to others." That evening, as Wisdom drove his new car back to his house, he felt a peace he hadn't experienced in years. The gentle hum of the engine and the cool breeze from the air conditioner reminded him of how far he had come. When he got home, he parked the car and stepped out, taking a moment to admire the house. The porch light cast a warm glow, and the garden was neatly trimmed. Inside, everything was perfect: the furniture, the decorations, and the peace of knowing this was his new home. Wisdom knelt again, this time in his living room. "Father, I dedicate this home to you. May it always be filled with your presence. May no evil ever step foot in this place. Thank you for restoring my joy." As he lay on his soft bed that night, Wisdom thought about his journey. The betrayal, the pain, the humiliation, it had all led to this moment. He smiled to himself. "The enemies have failed woefully," he whispered. "God has the final say." The weekend came, and Wisdom prepared to visit Chief Wellington. He dressed neatly, wearing a white shirt and black trousers, pairing them with polished black shoes. He wanted to make a good impression, even though Chief Wellington had already shown him nothing but kindness. When Wisdom arrived at Chief Wellington's house, the gate opened, revealing the massive compound. The well-maintained gardens, luxurious cars, and elegant mansion were reminders of the man's success. A steward led Wisdom to the spacious living room, where Chief Wellington sat sipping a glass of juice. "Ah, Wisdom," Chief Wellington greeted warmly, standing to shake his hand. "It's good to see you again." Wisdom smiled. "Thank you, sir, for inviting me. I can never thank you enough for everything you've done for me." "I am deeply grateful." Chief Wellington waved his hand dismissively. "Don't mention it, my son. Helping you was the right thing to do. Sit down, relax, and let's talk." After they exchanged pleasantries, Chief Wellington leaned forward, his tone growing serious but gentle. "Wisdom, I've been thinking about something," he began. "You're a good man, hard-working, respectful, and God-fearing. I know the struggles you've faced, but you've come out stronger. A man like you deserves all the good things life has to offer. Wisdom nodded respectfully, unsure where the conversation was going. Chief Wellington continued, I have a daughter. Her name is Isabella. She's my only child, and I love her dearly. I want her to be with someone who will cherish and protect her. I'm not saying this to pressure you, Wisdom, but I'd like you to meet her. Who knows, maybe you two will get along. Wisdom's eyes widened slightly. He hadn't expected this. Sir, I don't know what to say. Chief Wellington smiled. You don't have to say anything now. I'm not forcing you, Wisdom. If you meet her and you don't feel anything for her, that's okay. It won't change how I feel about you or what I've done for you. I just want her to be in the right hands, with the right person. And when I look at you, I see a man of integrity. Wisdom felt a lump in his throat. The trust and respect Chief Wellington had for him were overwhelming. He cleared his throat and said, Sir, thank you for considering me worthy of such an honor. Let me meet her first, and we'll see how things go. Chief Wellington clapped his hands together, his face lighting up with a broad smile. That's all I ask. You're a good man, Wisdom, and I know you'll make the right decision. Just then, a steward entered the room with refreshments. As they ate and talked about other things, Wisdom couldn't help but wonder about Isabella. Who was she? What kind of person was she? Was she anything like her father? As Wisdom drove home that evening, his mind was filled with thoughts. He prayed silently, Lord, if this is your will, guide me. I don't want to make any mistakes. If she's the right person for me, let it be clear. If not, please show me. The next day, Chief Wellington called Wisdom and invited him to meet Isabella over lunch. Wisdom agreed, feeling both nervous and curious. The day came for Wisdom to meet Isabella. He dressed carefully in a crisp blue shirt, a black pair of trousers, and polished shoes. His heart raced as he drove to Chief Wellington's mansion. What would she look like? What kind of person would she be? When Wisdom arrived, Chief Wellington greeted him warmly. Come in, my son. Isabella is waiting in the garden. She's eager to meet you. Wisdom followed Chief Wellington outside, his heart pounding. The garden was breathtaking. Flowers of every color, neatly trimmed hedges, and a fountain in the middle. Sitting by the fountain was a young woman in a flowing white dress. Her beauty was captivating, and Wisdom felt his breath catch in his throat. Isabella stood up when she saw them approaching. Her radiant smile lit up the entire garden. She was tall, with smooth brown skin and eyes that sparkled like stars. Her hair fell in soft curls around her shoulders. Isabella, meet Wisdom, Chief Wellington said, smiling. Wisdom, this is my daughter. Wisdom extended his hand, trying to steady himself. It's a pleasure to meet you, Isabella, he said, his voice gentle. Isabella took his hand, her touch soft and warm. The pleasure is mine, she replied, her voice like music to his ears. For a moment, they stood there, their eyes locked. There was something unexplainable in the air, a connection neither of them could ignore. Wisdom felt as though the world had paused, leaving only the two of them in that moment. Chief Wellington, noticing the chemistry, chuckled softly. I'll leave you two to talk, he said, walking away with a knowing smile. Wisdom and Isabella sat by the fountain, their conversation flowing naturally. They talked about everything, her love for art, his journey from struggles to his new job, her admiration for her father, and his faith in God. The more they talked, the more Wisdom realized she wasn't just beautiful. She was kind, intelligent, and humble. I have heard a lot about you, Isabella said, her eyes twinkling. My father speaks highly of you. He says you're hard-working and have a good heart. Wisdom smiled shyly. Your father has been a blessing to me. I wouldn't be where I am today without his help. But I must say, meeting you is the highlight of everything he's done for me. Isabella blushed, looking down at her hands. You're kind, Wisdom. As the afternoon turned to evening, the bond between them grew stronger. Wisdom couldn't take his eyes off her, and Isabella found herself drawn to his gentle spirit. She laughed at his jokes, admired his humility, and felt safe in his presence. When it was time for Wisdom to leave, Isabella walked him to his car. Thank you for spending time with me, she said, her voice soft. I hope we can do this again. I would love that, Wisdom replied, smiling. Thank you for making today unforgettable. As he drove home, Wisdom couldn't stop thinking about Isabella. Her smile, her laughter, her kindness, everything about her was perfect. He prayed silently, Lord, if she's the one for me, let your will be done. I have never felt this way about anyone before. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, Isabella sat in her room, replaying their conversation in her mind. She couldn't deny the connection she felt with Wisdom. Father, she said when Chief Wellington came to check on her, he's wonderful. Thank you for introducing us. Chief Wellington smiled knowingly. He's a good man, Isabella. But take your time. Get to know him better. If it's meant to be, everything will fall into place. Wisdom's life had taken a turn for the better. His new position, his growing friendship with Isabella, and his deepening faith in God had brought him peace and fulfillment. But unknown to him, his brother Victor's life was spiraling downward. Victor sat in his dark room, frustrated. The money that once overflowed in his house had begun to disappear mysteriously. His charm no longer worked, and his power was slipping away. He angrily summoned the Wise One, the figure who had promised him wealth in exchange for his brother's destiny. You promised me endless wealth, Victor shouted as the Wise One appeared in a cloud of smoke. The Wise One's voice was calm yet firm. I gave you your brother's destiny, but there is a stronger force with him now. A divine power protects him. Victor's eyes widened in disbelief. Stronger force? How? I thought I had taken everything from him. The Wise One sneered. You are losing because he is no longer walking alone. If you want to regain your wealth and power, there is only one way. Kill him. Victor hesitated but then nodded. What must I do? The Wise One gave him a list of instructions. Perform the sacrifice tonight. Call Wisdom's name 3 times. But be warned, if anything happens to you during the ritual, you are on your own. Victor didn't care. He was desperate. That night, he followed the instructions to the letter. He lit the candles, spread the items for the sacrifice, and began chanting Wisdom's name. Wisdom! 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 As he called the name for the 3rd time, a deafening thunderclap shook the ground. Lightning struck Victor directly, throwing him across the room. He screamed in agony as the Wise One's laughter echoed around him. When the storm calmed, Victor stood up, but something was wrong. His mind was gone. He had been struck with madness. Weeks later, Wisdom was at a mechanic's workshop, waiting for his car to be fixed. He stood under a tree, enjoying the shade, when he noticed a figure approaching. The man was dirty, unkempt, and muttering to himself. As the man got closer, Wisdom's heart skipped a beat. It was Victor, his younger brother. Victor! Wisdom whispered, unable to believe his eyes. Victor's eyes were wild, and his clothes were torn. He laughed hysterically as he staggered toward Wisdom. Brother! Brother! He shouted, his voice echoing through the workshop. Everyone stopped to watch the scene unfold. Wisdom felt a mix of anger, sadness, and pity. Victor, what happened to you? He asked, his voice trembling. Victor dropped to his knees before Wisdom, tears streaming down his face. In his madness, he began to confess. I was jealous, Wisdom. I envied you. You gave me everything. School, money, a roof over my head. But it wasn't enough. I wanted more. I wanted what you had. I went to a native doctor and stole your destiny. Wisdom staggered back, his hand over his chest. The words cut deep. You did this to me? You took everything from me, Victor. Victor nodded, crying uncontrollably. Yes, brother. I took your destiny. But the Wise One betrayed me. He said there's a stronger power protecting you now. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Tears streamed down Wisdom's face. How could you do this, Victor? I gave you everything. I trusted you. You didn't just steal my destiny. You destroyed my family, my life. Victor crawled closer, grabbing Wisdom's feet. I was wrong. Forgive me. I've paid the price. I've lost everything. Wisdom shook his head, stepping back. Forgiveness? I don't know if I can, Victor. You ruined me. And for what? Greed. Envy. Just then, Victor stood up and began running aimlessly into the road. Before Wisdom could stop him, a speeding car came out of nowhere and hit him. Victor's body flew into the air and landed with a sickening thud. "No!" Wisdom shouted, rushing toward his brother. The driver of the car stopped and came out, shaking in fear. "I didn't see him. He ran into the road." Wisdom knelt beside Victor's lifeless body, tears pouring down his cheeks. "Victor, why? Why did it have to end like this?" The crowd that had gathered murmured among themselves. Some shook their heads in pity, while others whispered about the consequences of greed. Wisdom looked up at the sky, his heart heavy. "Lord, I don't understand, but I leave everything in your hands. Help me to heal from this pain." He stood up, wiping his tears. As he walked away, he felt a strange sense of peace. He had survived the storms of betrayal, loss, and pain. And now, with Victor's confession, the chains of the past had been broken. A year passed, and Wisdom's life was filled with blessings and joy. His hard work and faith in God had turned his life around completely. He and Isabella had grown closer every day, their love blossoming into something beautiful. On a bright Saturday morning, the sun shone warmly as guests gathered at a large church. The bells chimed melodiously, announcing the union of Wisdom and Isabella. The ceremony was grand yet heartfelt, with friends, family, and even Chief Wellington in attendance. Isabella was stunning in her white gown, while Wisdom stood proud, his heart overflowing with gratitude. As they exchanged vows, Wisdom couldn't stop the tears that welled up in his eyes. "I promise to love, cherish, and protect you, Isabella, for the rest of my life," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "And I promise to stand by you, through thick and thin," Isabella replied, her smile radiant. When the pastor declared them husband and wife, the congregation erupted in cheers. Wisdom kissed his bride, sealing the beginning of their new life together. The reception was lively and filled with laughter. Wisdom couldn't stop thanking Chief Wellington, who had become like a father to him. "Chief, I can never repay you for all you've done for me." "Thank you for believing in me," Wisdom said, shaking his hand firmly. Chief Wellington smiled. "You've proven yourself, Wisdom. You deserve every good thing coming your way. Now, take care of my daughter and make me proud." Months later, Isabella gave Wisdom the best news of his life. She was pregnant. Wisdom was overjoyed and knelt down, thanking God. "Father, you have been so good to me. Thank you for this blessing," he prayed. The pregnancy was smooth, and Isabella glowed with happiness. She and Wisdom prepared eagerly for the arrival of their baby. But God had more surprises in store for them. One early morning, after hours of labor, Isabella gave birth to not one, not two, but 3 healthy babies, 2 boys and a girl. The hospital room was filled with tears of joy as Wisdom held his children for the first time. "Triplets!" he exclaimed, his voice trembling. "God, you are truly amazing." Isabella smiled weakly but happily. "Our family is complete, Wisdom." Wisdom hugged her gently, his heart overflowing with gratitude. He looked at the tiny faces of his children, his voice breaking as he spoke. "You are my miracle babies. I will love you, protect you, and give you the life I never had." News of the birth spread quickly, and everyone celebrated with them. Chief Wellington arrived at the hospital with gifts for the babies. "You've made me a proud grandfather," he said, laughing as he held the tiny girl. Wisdom knelt beside Isabella's bed, holding her hand. "Isabella, you've brought light into my life. From a man who had nothing, God has made me a man with everything. I will spend the rest of my life thanking Him and loving you." As they gazed at their newborns, Wisdom couldn't help but reflect on his journey. From the depths of despair, betrayal, and poverty, God had lifted him to a place of joy and abundance. And so, Wisdom's story became a tale of hope, perseverance, and the power of faith. He learned that no matter how dark life gets, those who trust in God and remain steadfast will always find light at the end of the tunnel. Dear viewers, what lessons did you take away from this dramatic tale? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest updates. Thanks for watching, and stay blessed.